Hi, my name is Edward S. Gilbert Jr., and I am a entrepreneur, a software engineer. Basically, I have been involved with digital technology pretty much ever since high school. I went into the U.S. Naval Submarine Service right out of high school in order to, one, get an education, two, get some education money, three, travel the world, four, the U.S. Navy was pretty much a passion of mine since my younger childhood. I had always wanted to serve in the U.S. Naval Submarine Service. Well, actually, just in the U.S. Navy. I shouldn't necessarily say the U.S. Naval Submarine Service. Um, when I took my ASVAB scores back in, my SATs, I basically blew away my ASVAB scores. My SATs were, still kind of mediocre. Um, so anyway, I decided to pursue my passion with the U.S. Navy, having to always serve. Um, Basically, I ended up being recruited down out on the Barry Montpelier Road with Master Chief Ernie Raspy, a fellow bubblehead who basically talked me right into the U.S. Naval Submarine Service, in all honesty. Um, and I actually have him to thank for that because I served on two Sturgeon class I served on two 637 Sturgeon class fast attack nuclear submarines, and I also was a U.S. Navy diver. I graduated U.S. Navy dive school from Coronado Island in Coronado, California. Basically, the U.S. Navy SEALs Bud Training School, U.S. Navy diving community, deep submergence rescue units are out of San Diego, or at least out of that portion for the West Coast and the Pacific Fleet. Um, as I said, I served on the USS Hawkbill, SSN 666, and the USS Pogey, SSN 647. Those are two 637 Sturgeon class fast attack nuclear submarines. In order to earn your dolphins on a submarine like that, you have to qualify on every single system. I was an FTG-2 SSDV, basically responsible for every single weapon system on board those two nuclear submarines. Um, my first computer was a Commodore VIC-20. I did some programming at Spalding High School on the Apple II back in the day. Um, there was two Raytheon mainframes that were basically running my whole weapon systems on board those two fast attack nuclear submarines. Today, this smartphone has more capacity than the two mainframes that were running every single system on board my nuclear submarines. Um, I could I could really wreak some chaos and mayhem with that little device right there as a handheld device, basically running Tomahawk cruise missiles, Mark 48 ADCAP torpedoes, Harpoon missiles, um, countermeasures. We used to bag and tag the former Soviet Union submarines, the Akula class fast attacks, the Victors 1, 2, and 3s. Never got a chance to bag and tag a Typhoon or some of their larger ballistic missile platforms, seeing how basically I served in the Pacific Fleet, so I was basically doing exercises with Japan, Korea. Uh, got to pull into Hong Kong. We were off the coast of Hong Kong back in '89 when Tiananmen Square went down. Um, some really interesting points in history by serving in the U.S. Naval Submarine Service. Long story short, what am I here today? Well, I'm in the phase of trying to attract investors and organize a development team to deliver leading edge technology. I want to design a software slash network engineering firm that can basically custom design software solutions. Um, After the U.S. Naval Submarine Service, I put myself through the University of Vermont. I first started out in the College of Engineering as an electrical engineer because I love math. Math and science, to me, math never lies. The number game, it always tells you the truth one way or another. There's only, as a former teacher of mine at Berrytown Elementary School, Mr. Tom Bugby, basically used to tell me that math, there's only one number that fits the puzzle. And after that, you can go up, down, any way in the equation, and that one number will give you the result once you figure out what you need to plug into the formula. So, that being said, I credit Mr. Bugby and I had several really great teachers in Berrytown Elementary School, right up through Spalding High School, in math and the sciences that got me fired up, that made me do very well with my math and science skills. I must admit, I didn't fall in love with English or literature until I put myself through the University of Vermont. And that was pretty much where literature and English writing kind of became a hobby of mine. I certainly started to definitely fall in love with the literature arts from that point due to my time spent putting myself through the University of Vermont. As I said, I went through 3 years of the College of Engineering as an electrical engineer, and I ended up taking a MIS class, which I pretty much fell in love with because it had a combination of the technical skills that I was bringing to the table, along with software development, business, which I have to admit, the electrical engineering school, my GPA was kind of mediocre. I was like, I think I was only getting like a 2.3 or so at that point in the school. And this course really got me excited. Several of the professors in the business school they got me fired up into combining my technical background with a business of science degree in MIS, which is Management of Information Systems, which is something that I had done in the U.S. Naval Submarine Service, gathering intelligence, doing the kind of crunching of numbers, being able to maintain all the systems on board, and definitely being responsible for safety of own ship, as well as being able to launch and shoot these weapon systems in order to keep my shipmates safe, bring us back home. So long story short, I'm in the early phase of trying to start up a software/network engineering firm. Presently, the business environment here in Vermont, I'm not sure if I'm going to base it out of Vermont just because of the tax code and the tax structure here in Vermont is not very business friendly whatsoever. And being someone who I developed software for Fidelity Investments in Boston, I earned a President's Award in technology from Tom Messenger during the Roth IRA projects. We basically broke a company record. We generated $200 billion in under a year. We installed software in over 400 plus investment centers across the country, and we had a website portal that basically brought in, like I said, over $200 billion in under a year, broke a company record. I then went to work for another startup, which was called Genetic Microsystems. And this company was designing DNA microarrays. And they were Gene Coco Montague. It was like his third startup. He had a patent for a small pin that could double the amount of DNA samples onto a slide, cutting the amount of time analyzing that DNA. We were in the third phase of financing. We were looking to be bought out by a bigger biotech company. And sure enough, working with Peter Welch, who was the CFO at the time, Gene Montague, who was the CEO of the company, as well as Stan Haneker and a few other really great guys that were MIT grads that were on the leading edge of technology, and especially in DNA microarrays, something that was going to change the industry, change the legal process. Let's face it, because DNA basically ties the bad guys to the scene. Back in the past, it definitely there was a 99% chance, 99.9% chance if you left DNA at a scene, you could be convicted by that process. Also, it would definitely stop the amount of people who were falsely accused and put in prison, as well as changing other industries, medicine, the Human Genome Project, isolating cancer genomes versus healthy cells. It's really changed and impact several industries ever since that little company got bought out by Affymetrix. So here I am. I'm looking to start up my own software engineering / network engineering firm. I'm looking to piece together a small development team to deliver custom solutions and basically redesign, retool, and revive successful business models, but more in a 21st century digital economy to generate revenue for their shareholders, redesign government agencies to streamline, cut costs. If you have an interest in helping me reach my dream, because this has been a childhood dream of mine, please connect with me on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I am on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on Google+, on Pinterest, on Tumblr. Look for Edward S. Gilbert Jr. or ESG Junior Consulting Inc. It's a startup business model that I'm hoping to piece together here shortly within the next 2 years of a time frame. I'm looking to raise over $10 million actually to get this company off of the ground, build it for success. The one thing I have learned in designing software, it is a very expensive business. The budgets that I'm used to dealing with were in the multi-millions of dollars, and I can definitely help companies generate or bring their products and their services not only to a local market, to a national and to an international market. The digital economy has got whole new opportunities, and if you're interested in helping me out reach my dream, I am looking for some successful software engineers, both in the back end of the database with Oracle, SAP, for example. Some strong coders who are definitely in the forefront and willing to pursue internet-based solutions to help companies take their products and their services not only to their local markets, a national market, and on to a global scale, tapping into the Internet of Things and the Internet of Everything that is pretty much starting to push and drive the future of business. So connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Tumblr. I'm on Instagram. Definitely get in touch with me if you have any of those talents in the software network engineering. I'm looking for talent in those skill sets, and I'm certainly looking for someone who is as strong as a presenter as I am to help present sales, to gather, to do presentations to investors. I'm looking to make my dream come to fruition at this point. Where I'm going to base it out of, it's probably not going to be here in Vermont just because of the tax code is not business friendly. However, who knows? If I can get the team, I can get the funding here, I'm certainly willing to make it happen. So connect with me on those social media fronts. Look for my website. I'm in the process of developing that right now. Definitely send me off information on LinkedIn. That is where I basically conduct all my business relationships. Facebook and other social media platforms are my tool to help get the word out and to help generate connections. So look for me and please get in touch with me. Have a great day.